Healthy soil is not built with fertilizers. It is built with time, biology, and structure. The cardboard solution. But what if time could be shortened without chemicals, without compost piles, and without inviting termites into your garden? Most gardeners walk past the answer every day and throw it away. Cardboard, when used correctly, does not rot into pests or problems. It transforms into humus surprisingly fast and feeds the soil from the surface down. The key is not the cardboard itself, but how it is prepared, layered, and activated. Miss one step, and it fails. Follow the full method, and the soil changes in weeks, not years. Why does bare soil never become rich soil? Well, bare soil is really just exposed soil, and exposed soil is dead soil in slow motion. The sun bakes it, the rain compacts it, and the wind strips away those vital microbes. When soil is left bare, it often ends up cracked and dry, especially under a harsh sun. Even when you add compost, bare soil just burns through those nutrients quickly because honestly, there's nothing there holding moisture or feeding microbial life on a consistent basis. Humus forms when organic material decomposes slowly in the presence of moisture, oxygen, and living organisms. The problem is that, most gardeners try to create humus from the top down with compost alone, which dries out and disappears fast. Cardboard changes this dynamic by acting as a temporary forest floor. So, what cardboard really does in soil? Plain cardboard is essentially compressed plant fiber. It is carbon-rich, breathable, and biodegradable. When laid flat on soil, cardboard blocks light, stops weeds, and holds moisture underneath. More importantly, it creates a calm, shaded zone where microbes, fungi, and earthworms can work uninterrupted. Cardboard does not feed termites when used correctly because termites prefer dry wood in contact with structures, not moist fiber buried under soil and green material. Moisture and microbial competition are the reasons this method works without pest problems. Now let's clear up some misconceptions about termites. So, choosing the right cardboard really matters. Only plain brown cardboard should be used for this process. Glossy cardboard, colored ink, waxed surfaces, or laminated boxes should never touch the soil. Be sure to remove all tape and labels completely. And instead of tearing the cardboard into small pieces, tear it into large flat sheets. Now let's talk about preparing the ground before laying cardboard. Soil preparation is, minimal, but still critical. You don't need to dig deeply. Just simply water the ground thoroughly before laying the cardboard. Moist soil is a sign of life below, and it also helps prevent the cardboard from drying out and curling up. Watering the soil before laying cardboard is a key step in this process. If the ground is compacted, loosen only the top 2 to 3 centimeters with a garden fork. This allows air exchange without disturbing soil layers. The forgotten layering sequence that makes humus fast. Lay the cardboard directly on the moist soil, overlapping edges by at least 10 centimeters, so light cannot penetrate. Once placed, soak the cardboard completely until it becomes flexible and heavy. Dry cardboard repels water and slows decomposition, while wet cardboard invites microbes immediately. On top of the soaked cardboard, add a nitrogen-rich layer. This can be fresh green plant material, grass clippings that have dried for one day, vegetable scraps or aged manure. This layer should be about 5 centimeters thick. Nitrogen is what allows microbes to digest the carbon in cardboard efficiently. Finish with a protective organic cover such as straw, dried leaves, or unfinished compost. This top layer regulates moisture and temperature while preventing the nitrogen layer from drying out too quickly. the simple liquid activation that speeds everything up. To accelerate humus formation, a microbial feed can be applied after layering. Mix 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses into 5 liters of clean water. Stir until fully dissolved. Water the layered area evenly until moist but not dripping. Molasses feeds beneficial bacteria and fungi, helping them colonize the cardboard rapidly. This step is optional, but it dramatically shortens the time needed for humus formation. Why does this method not attract termites? Well, termites are attracted to dry cellulose near structures. This method keeps cardboard wet, buried, and biologically active. Fungi and bacteria colonize the cardboard first, breaking it down before termites can access it. In addition, termites avoid areas with constant microbial competition and moisture fluctuations. When cardboard is exposed, dry, or placed near wooden foundations, it becomes a problem. But when it is layered correctly in soil, it becomes food for microbes, not pests. So, what happens underground? After about 2 weeks, within just a few days, moisture stabilizes under the cardboard. By the second week, fungal threads begin binding soil particles together. Earthworms follow moisture and organic matter, pulling fragments of decomposing cardboard downward. This mixing process is what creates humus rather than simple compost. Humus is stable, dark, and long-lasting because it bonds minerals and organic matter together. This is the difference between temporary fertility and permanent soil improvement. When and how to plant into cardboard beds. Planting can begin as soon as the top layers settle, usually after 2 to 3 weeks. For transplants, simply cut a small X through the softened cardboard and plant directly into the soil below. For seeds, add a thin layer of finished compost on top and sow normally. The cardboard continues breaking down underneath while roots grow into cooler, richer soil. Why repeated cardboard use improves soil permanently? This method is not a one-time fix. Each application builds soil structure deeper and wider. Over time, soil becomes darker, looser, and more water retentive. Over time, microbial populations stabilize, and, this can reduce the need for fertilizers entirely. Gardens treated in this way become resilient to drought, heavy rain, and temperature extremes, all because humus, it really buffers everything. Now let's talk about the mistake that ruins the method. The most common failure is letting the cardboard dry out during the first week. Dry cardboard, honestly, it stalls decomposition and invites pests. The second mistake is skipping the nitrogen layer. Without nitrogen, microbes just cannot process carbon efficiently, and breakdown slows dramatically. Balance in the end is what turns waste into wealth underground. Why does this method fit nature's blueprint so perfectly? Well, nature never leaves soil exposed. Forests quietly build humus from the top down, using fallen leaves, moisture, and biology. This cardboard method honestly just imitates that process, only with modern materials that would otherwise be discarded. It's simple, scalable, and really accessible to any gardener who's willing to work with nature instead of against it. Just a few final thoughts for fellow gardeners. Soil doesn't need to be forced into fertility. What it actually needs is the right conditions and a bit of time to respond. Cardboard, when used wisely, gives soil exactly what it's been missing: shade, moisture, food, and protection. If this guide helped you see soil a little differently, go ahead and subscribe to Nature's Blueprint for more timeless growing knowledge. And hey, share this video with anyone who's struggling with poor soil, and let nature rebuild from the surface down.